Yeah. What's happening, Youngry crew? I signed on right now, but I always know that the beginning of these things are slow as hell. So, in the meantime, I'm gonna make an espresso. So bear with me. Got a cool little machine here at the hub, and I'm gonna pop in this espresso pod because that's always good. And in the meantime, while I'm waiting for the little thingy to go, I'm Alon Goren. I'm one of the founders of 805 Startups and Crowd Invest Summit. Facebook Live, I'm not going to put on a mask. As fun as it would be to be breathing fire during this video or whatever, I'm just not going to do it. Oh, here we go. So, I said 805 Startups and Crowd Invest Summit. Crowd Invest Summit is the largest crowdfunding conference in the country. We expect about 3,000 people to join us in September at the LA Convention Center. It's going to be pretty epic. We talk about how the rockstar investors invest. We have an expo floor full of startups who are actively fundraising, and we have an awesome time. So please join us there, crowdinvestsummit.com. 805 Startups is a thing I do in Southern California where it's a network of about 1,800 startups and investors. So check that out when you've got a moment as well. My espresso is done, but here's the first pro tip. Who cares about the AMA? I'm not going to answer any of your questions. I'll just tell you what I do. If you're in a co-working space like this one, they always have those crappy little pods of cream. Throw a ton of them in the fridge. The fridges are usually kind of dirty, so throw them in a bag or something. Because then you can throw cold ones into your espresso, and it'll cool down your espresso, and you could drink that shit way faster. So, I'm doing that right now. Bear with me, I'm setting down my phone on the table so I can do it. Okay? Feel free to shoot me some questions. Hit the share button, tell your friends, do all that fun stuff. Thank you so much, Youngry, for having me. All right, guys. Now, I got my trusty RepWatch cup. RepWatch is a super cool company, young kids here in Westlake Village, California, who started a company out of one of the startup weekends here. And they're actually in, I think, Arizona right now or something like that, pitching at some big competition. So good luck, guys. All right. Here we go. While I wait, you have 30 seconds. What's your company do? This is Rayon.
Hey, we help people raise millions of dollars for their real estate projects.
How?
By gathering lots of crowds together with help from Alon.
What's the name of your company?
Funding Tree.
Fundingtree.com. That's Rayon's company. All right. Now, by the way, I'm at Hub 101 in Westlake Village, California. It's our sort of our startup clubhouse here in Southern California. We have a ton of companies that are started here. It's a bit of a quiet day, but that's okay. It makes it easier for me to wander around and hang out and introduce you to people around the place. So let's see who's here. Here, real quick. I'm gonna barge into somebody's office. You have 30 seconds. Who are you and what is it? What do you do?
I like to drink alcohol when people come and give me hard questions because it makes me panic.
What's the name of your company? That's a good intro.
Yeah. I'm not at liberty to say that.
All right, now that you're drunk, forget
Yes.
it. Never mind. Let it. Way to ruin a good opportunity, dude. You were live on the internet. Where the hell did Greg go? All right, let's see. I can hit this guy up too. Yo, you have 10 seconds. I'm live on the internet. Who are you and what do you do?
My name is Josh Warren, and I just create, and I'm brilliant at it. Thank you.
That is a pitch.
Design.com, or you can go to drive.com. Thank you.
Drive.com is actually spelled D-R-I-A-V. Oh, starting to get some questions here. Oh, there's Greg. Real quick. This place that I told you, it's called Hub 101 here in Westlake Village. The guy who founded it is right here. His name is Greg Monterosa.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in for Alon's AMA, one of our community leaders and a champion around here. Alon, let's see, what's your morning routine like?
I come in here, I go into my dirty corner. You see how this place is super clean and tidy and legit? This corner right here, that's all messy, that's my corner. I come in here, I make myself an espresso, I pound it like I just did, and then I get to work and I get shit done. All right, now I'm getting real questions, so I'm going to find a corner here, sit down, and answer some of your questions and start this thing off right. Here's a good little spot. All right, so let's see. I'm going through the feed here. Startup Caneo Valley, thank you. All right. What can you learn from James Altucher? I saw him at the recent CIS in LA. James is awesome. So I love reading his blog at jamesaltucher.com. I think it's called Altucher Confidential. He's just super open and honest and upfront, and I think that's something that entrepreneurs and startups in general could learn from and benefit from. I think being transparent is super awesome. I think that it's helpful. I think it helps with people looking for investors. I think it's great for people who are trying to look for customers. You have a genuine problem, you are genuine, and people will then trust you and believe in you because you're coming to them with real advice that is from somebody who gets it. So that's what I kind of love about James. And thanks for coming to Crowd Invest Summit. I appreciate it. Is this Wolverine? How'd you know? Let's see. Alon, awesome meeting you. Thank you for coming to CIS, another one. If I want to start a conference on campus, what are the main pieces of advice in terms of operations? Operations are one of those things where you just have to be super organized. In terms of the marketing and getting people to come to the conference, that's a different ballgame. But for operations, like what we did at Crowd Invest Summit, we actually hired somebody who's really, really good at it because the founders, me and the other guys, we were just extremely busy in the marketing and getting things going for the conference. So doing that kind of stuff, which was dealing with each of the media partners and each of the sponsors and each of the speakers, sending them all the details they needed to know, got very overwhelming because it's sort of a formulaic job. You have to just be super organized and get it done. So we actually solved our problem by throwing money at it. We hired somebody who's really good at it. Her name is Joe, J&B Events, and she's awesome. So that's what we did. Let's see here. What advice do you have for aspiring entrepreneurs, Raheel? So that's a very vague question and very difficult to answer well and very easy to answer crappily. Is that a word? My advice for aspiring entrepreneurs is to get shit done and just start moving. Momentum. For me, what works a lot of times is to actually set a date for something, say I'm doing something, tell people about it, and then I am then obligated and I have a little social pressure to get it done. So a lot of times for events and things like that, because that's what I've been doing a lot lately, I'll ask somebody who I really like or trust to be a speaker at the event. I'll book them as a speaker, and now a month out, there's like, oh crap, 8 p.m. on this date, I got to have the event done. So all of a sudden, I get on it, and it's much easier than always having this sort of like, hey, there's this thing I'm doing. There's this thing I'm doing. I really want to do this thing. I really want to do this thing. It's easier to just straight up draw a line in the sand and say, I am doing this specific thing. So, thanks, Raheel. Let's see. Raheel, what opportunities are there in fintech for early stage entrepreneurs no one has crushed yet? Honestly, I think the whole industry is wide open. And the reason I say that is because I was at, Lend It this last week. It's a peer-to-peer lending conference, and it's probably the biggest sort of sub-industry in finance that has a lot of technology going on. And there's these big companies that are worth billions of dollars that are robo-advisors and things like that. And you think that they're more mature, right? You think that they have solved a problem and they're out there and they're doing it. But if you look at the whole industry as a whole, you talk about like alternative investments or some subcategory of finance. Alternative investments are $7 trillion a year industry. How much of that happens online? Less than 10%. So even the biggest players in the space are still minuscule compared to Schwab, right? Or some kind of large financial organization like that we know about. So in my opinion, you find a problem that you have or that works for you, and you just go after it. And if you could do it well, you're going to crush it. There's a cool thing. Do a Google search for the unbundling of a bank. CB Insights did this cool infographic where it shows the Wells Fargo homepage and it shows the consumer homepage and the business homepage. There's like a million little arrows at every single link on the homepage that points to a startup that's trying to disrupt just that tiny part of the bank, because the tiny part of the bank is $1 billion industry. And nobody's really done it yet. The banks are trying, and the way they're going to do it is by buying up small companies or by losing the small companies. So go after it. All right, I'm going down the list. Sigma Epsilon Mu. Hi, Alon, student entrepreneurship at CSUF. Is that CSU Fullerton? Yeah, okay, yeah, College of Economics. We're wondering if your piece of advice would be for students that want to balance work, life, starting a business, and school. So I have some experience in this because I got my first real good job in tech while I was going to school. And I decided to go to school at night. And I was working my butt off, and then I drive from Beverly Hills all the way to Camarillo, California, because I was going to Cal State Channel Islands and going to school at night. And I was super tired, and I was a terrible student. And at the end of the day, I kind of felt like, should I have been in school? Should I have just worked more? In the long term, I'm glad I finished school. I'm glad that I was working full time. But I think when you are a student and you have ideas and things like that, I would suggest joining something like this, like Hub 101. So that company I mentioned before, RepWatch, they're full-time students at Cal Lutheran University down here in Southern California. And they are going around and doing, starting their company. I think that the balance is kind of tough because I don't know how much time they have to spend on their company versus time spent on their business. But when I start a company, like right now with what we're doing with Crowd Invest Summit, it's a more than full-time job. So to really start the company right, I don't know if they'll be able to. The good thing with that specific company is they're all going to be finishing school soon because they're all seniors, as far as I know. So you could definitely get the ball rolling, get things going, and try your best. But I think being a good student is probably more than full-time job. I don't have experience with that. But being a founder is definitely a more than a full-time job. And so it's tough. But I think you guys are young, you're hungry. That's why you're on Youngry, right? And I would suggest enjoying enjoying the fact that you're at school, you're young, and you're having fun, and have fun, and you're going to have many, many, many startup opportunities, and just go for it. I mean, do what makes you happy, and you'll have a lot of fun. I started lots of different businesses while I was in school, and they were all businesses revolving around, startups and technology and punk rock, right? And I was super stoked to do it, and it never felt like a job. So go for it. All right, John is asking me a question about the best type of investment for a company, convertible note or safe or equity in early stage. My answer always to that question is whatever's easiest for you that the investor will invest in. So if you have a lead investor, I always like to ask somebody who might be an investor what they prefer. And if they prefer it, then they'll have to answer the question to all the other investors who go, how come you didn't use a convertible note? Why not a safe? Why not equity? Why not this kind of thing? Why not a 400-page PPM? Who cares? For you, the terms matter a little bit. The cost matters a lot. And the fact getting an investor to say yes and to write you a check is the most important part. So ask the investors, let them make the decision, and then any investor or anyone who comes to you after that, you can then point at them. So it's for me, that's the simple, easy way to do it. When we started Invested In many years ago, we found a lead investor and we went to him, and he helped us set the terms, he helped us do everything, and then every person who came along the way and said, how come this is your valuation? How come you use this paperwork? How come you did this? We say, oh, because that's what that lead investor wanted. So if you'd like, I can make an introduction to him, only if you're serious though. And it was a good way of also weeding some of the tire kickers. All right, we are back. Navjot, am I pronouncing that right? What industries do you believe are the best for crowdfunding? I won't go specific to industry, but I will say the target of the industry. If you're selling a consumer product, that is what is best, in my opinion. By the way, somebody answer me this. Am I making you guys seasick by walking around in circles in here? Because that's just what I do when I talk on the phone. But I'll try to stay still. I think so when you're doing a crowdfunding campaign, the best, most important thing is to be realistic about what you're trying to do. And if you're going for equity, which is sort of what I play in nowadays, my focus would be, can you sell a product on the internet today? If you can sell a product on the internet today, I think that you'll be able to raise money via equity crowdfunding. And I'm not saying, cool, thanks for the response, guys. I'm not saying that you have to be able to sell something, because you can sell, my dad sells auto parts on the internet to very, very obscure cars and tractors and things all around the country. I'm saying a consumer product that can be mass bought, right? So if you're talking about a phone case, like somebody in this office has a cool product, a really rad phone case that sticks on the wall. Somebody tried to call me and I had to decline. They should have a way to block that out. Maybe if I put it in airplane mode and turned on Wi-Fi or something. But anyway, this guy in the office has a really cool product that sells phone cases. He has thousands of people that love his phone cases. So if he could go onto WeFunder or onto Republic or onto Start Engine and say, buy my phone case and you also own a piece of my company, then he's going to kill it. You really just have to be realistic in the fact that you can sell a product on the internet and mass sell a product. If you can sell it, if it's something that you could sell with Facebook ads, it's probably something that you can raise a crowdfunding campaign for. Let's keep moving. Vanessa, what are your thoughts on blockchain technology? I'm super into it. I love it. It's still for me in the in this sort of phase of I personally don't know what to do with it other than support the companies that are doing cool things. I love the instant transfers of money and information. I love the ideas of all the smart contracts. One of the people who spoke at Crowd Invest Summit, Brock Pierce, he filled in for Tim Draper in the last minute when Tim couldn't come. Actually, this week is doing something called an ICO, an initial coin offering, where he's actually making his venture fund. So he does blockchain capital. He's going to have his third venture fund soon, blockchain capital number 3, and he's going to raise it online. He's going to let people invest using Bitcoin, and he's going to create a special currency just for his fund so that it'll be one of the, as far as I understand it, the first or one of the first liquid venture funds. So you'll be able to invest money and then at any point in time sell that coin, sell that currency that he created for his fund, and actually make it more, I guess, liquid, right? So the idea is that you'll be able to buy and sell shares of stock or coin in blockchain capital, which is really super cool. So I love that idea. That's probably my favorite thing I've seen lately. Lorenzo, are you more the type to diversify your investments, or are you the type to put all your eggs in one basket? I like the idea of diversifying everything. Obviously, with crowdfunding, I think that you should be investing in tons of campaigns. But do as I say, not as I do, I guess, because I used to work at Amazon, and 99% of the stock I own in companies is in Amazon stock, which has been good for us, but not diversifying at all. So, but I do think in the crowdfunding world, you got to be nuts to invest in one thing. A guy I know, Rafe First, he's one of the founders of Crowdfunder. He's a really, really smart mathematician, statistics guy, poker player, and he has written all sorts of really cool blog posts, if you look him up, about the startup world as a whole asset class and how investing in those single unicorns are sort of anomalies. But if you just invested across the board, if you basically created a fund or yourself decided, I'm going to invest a certain amount of money in every single company that hits these 5, 6, 7 milestones, you're going to make more money than if you just invested your money across the board on the stock market. So that's what he does. I would check that out, and that's obviously a big sell for diversifying. I don't know what that is. I keep hitting the thumbs up button and realizing I'm probably sending weird things at your guys' way. Funding Tree just asked, you recently attended Lend It. What do you think is the future of the lending industry? I think the future of the lending industry is the future of all industries, and especially the financial technology industry. The future is, my favorite word, disintermediation. It's us going directly to each other versus having to go through a middleman. And what all those startups are really doing are creating better products for the middlemen, or better products for the consumer, which in a sense cut out the biggest middlemen. They make it cheaper for the consumer, they make it better for the consumer, and that's what blockchain is doing as well, right? We're going direct to each other versus having to go through Schwab to buy stock in a company. I love that. That's my favorite thing. It's what I'm passionate about, and I think that the more we can do that, the more we empower each other, the more we're leveling the playing field for everyone, and the more anyone can be successful because they are smart and not because they know the right people. And I know that got real philosophical. So, Youngry, thanks guys. You use several social media products actively. How do you use each one, or are they all the same? I'm actually terrible about Facebook because I don't really like using it for work purposes. I have the page for Crowd Invest Summit, the page for 805 Startups, and I share it there, but I don't use my personal page for business stuff very often because I was terrible about segregating my followers into different groups, and I feel it's weird to post like, picture of my kids, for example, on Facebook or publicly. I'm just not into that. So I don't really use it the way I should and the way I could. LinkedIn and Twitter are what I use the most, and I love them both. Twitter, I think, is more fun for me. I post kind of everything randomly. I'm better at certain times at posting than others, but I love Twitter. I've got a decent following there, and when I share things, it works well. LinkedIn I've found to be more and more valuable to me, although I don't really like the product very much. For example, I couldn't do this on LinkedIn. It's really kind of dumb how slow they are to adopt really common things like just in-app video. I end up having to create something, post it on YouTube, and then post it on LinkedIn, which makes the product clunky and makes me post less on LinkedIn. But I have found that when I post on LinkedIn and I post correctly, I can get tons of views from people who are very targeted. So not too long ago, I did one of those posts which is clearly clickbait and clearly attention grabbing, and I think that most people understood that, but I timed it in a certain way. So I posted one of those things where I posted like 5 different pictures of myself, and I knew which one was probably going to win, and I didn't really care, to be honest, but I posted it and I said which one should be my next profile photo, and a bunch of people commented, and I even shared it in an email to my email list. And what ended up happening was I got tens of thousands of views on that post, but I posted it the day after I sent an email to all the potential sponsors of CrowdInvest Summit from the previous summit, and I knew that a lot of them would see my face a bazillion times on their LinkedIn feed the day after I sent that email. So it was a good reminder to them that, oh crap, I need to respond to Alon. So I purposely did that so that I would get their attention. And it worked because we closed a few sponsors immediately, and a few of those sponsors, before they responded to my email, I saw had responded to that post on LinkedIn or had liked that post on LinkedIn. And in the analytics of LinkedIn, I even saw one of their companies, as it says, like, in the analytics, it says like, this many people from XYZ company saw your post. And so it was totally, totally worth it and valuable. So I suggest kind of getting strategic in the way you use those things. Obviously, I'm into social media. My first job in tech, good job in tech, was at MySpace. So now start making fun of me. So, do you believe separates such determines an entrepreneur from a non-entrepreneur? Oh, do you believe that something separates an entrepreneur from a... Yes and no. I definitely think it has to be in your blood, but I think it's more of a cultural thing than a genetic thing. I think people who grow up with small business owner families or immigrant families tend to be more into entrepreneurship. But I think in this day and age, I'm probably one of the first or of the first to grow up in this sort of world where we're all on instant messenger and texting and very, very detached from the sort of original corporate world where it sort of feels natural to be independent versus be a part of a big system. So I definitely think that more and more people are getting into it. I don't know. I think it's a cultural thing. So I think it can be fostered within communities, which is sort of what we want to do with 805 Startups. I'm going to try to power through because let me see what time it is. We're running out of time, so I'll try to power through a few and I'll finish when I can. So let's see. Sigma, thanks for answering the previous question. What is the skill set most valuable to teach college you didn't learn from college? Oh, okay. I think actually just pushing people to do shit in college would be what's really valuable. Not any specific skill set, because similar to what I say about conferences, I don't want a panel at a conference where I could have answered the questions the panel took an hour to talk about in a simple Google search. And in college, there was a bit of that, right? And in college, it's necessary because you're trying to learn and understand each step along the process. But now that I'm in the real world, when I need an accountant, I hire an accountant. If I want to get into accounting, I have to know the details. So I think that the most important thing a college can do is to put you in programs like I did at Channel Islands with the Small Business Institute, where you actually go into the real world and get something done, whether it's start your own company, joining a startup weekend, or just working for somebody. But I think that's the most important thing a college could do, is push people out into the real world and kind of give them I kicked my foot like this, but that you guys didn't see that. It was just kick these kids in the butt and send them to the real world. Where is Conejo Valley, and why are there so many startups launching there? Conejo Valley is in Southern California. It's this area called like Westlake Village, Thousand Oaks, Agora Hills. It's where I live, and lots of startups are starting here because of places like this, Hub 101. There's a great community of successful people here who wanted to be here because it's a great place to raise your kids. And so they're north of LA, where you can actually take your kids to a school that's not part of LA Unified School District, where you can count on there being a good education and a good rating, and you're surrounded by it's a freaking beautiful day. Look out the window, right? There's hills all around us. And there's hiking trails to go to where you don't feel like you're at the mall. You're not alone out there, but you're also not in the crazy busy area like in LA. Okay, so I'm scrolling as fast as I can down to the bottom. Suzanne. Oh, hey, Suzanne. I'm seeing so many new companies in Santa Monica, but no one can afford to live there. What companies are growing in other parts of LA? So yes, that is why Conejo Valley is also growing, because it's so expensive in LA and nobody wants to raise their families there. And the people who moved to LA for the first sort of original wave at MySpace and stuff like that, my friends, are all raising families and getting married. Other companies, there's one in here called Pray.com who's killing it. There's one down the road, Suzanne you know very well, named Rex, who does real estate. Suzanne, I need to call you today, so hit me up. Called Rex Real Estate Exchange. They are killing it. Here's Greg. Greg, what's your favorite company in Westlake Village?
Oh, it'd have to be 805 Startups.
Oh, damn. All right. So lots of kick-ass companies in the area. Look it up. Ash, I'm going to end with your question because we're running late now. What is an entrepreneur ecosystem that you think is going to be the next big one in the next few years? I am in it right now. Between here and Santa Barbara, there's a disproportionate number of kick-ass companies who have had huge exits, and they're growing. And those people who are at those companies are starting new ones or investing in the ones in this area, and I think it's going to rock. So think about the 805 area code, the central coast of California. In the last year, you saw companies like The Trade Desk go public, and MindBody, and Lynda.com got sold to LinkedIn, and then LinkedIn got sold to Microsoft. So there is just some really cool stuff going on here. All right, guys, I'm going to end this because nobody wants to hear me talk any longer. I really, really, really appreciate you guys inviting me. Thank you so much to Youngry, Ash, and Vanessa, the whole crew. You guys are killing it. I'll see you at Crowd Invest Summit and at 805 Startups. Please check us out. Peace out, guys. Thanks.